Hi, hello and welcome back to my video tutorial series JavaScript Crash Course for experienced developers, and this is part 2. So in the previous part we learned about declaring a variable in JavaScript and a few data types. Okay, so these data types are called as primitive data types. Okay, strings, numbers, boolean, null, undefined. So these are primitive data types, and we have two more in this, like begin and signal, but we are not going to talk about those now because they are not so commonly used. Okay, so after this we have something called non-primitive data types, under which we have object and arrays. Okay, so in this part 2 I'll try to explain you about object and array. Okay, let's start with object. So guys, until now in the primitive data types we store a value in a variable. Okay, but with this objects and arrays we will be able to store multiple values in a variable. So for example, var person. Okay, so var person, so yes, so I have declared a variable and here I am setting the value as a single object, empty object. Okay, so simply open brace, close brace, and it becomes a empty object. So first let's check that console.log. Okay, so and just let me log person itself to the console first. So let's see the output now. Yeah, this is an empty object. So you see, when I expand this, you see some extra things here, right? Prototype object. So these will again confuse you, like when it was showing, you remember, like it showed type of as object for null, right? So there will be few confusions for you, and but don't worry, let's don't confuse this. This is just an empty object. Okay, just think this as an empty object. Okay, further I can now add multiple properties to this and values to this. Okay, and we generally call it as key value pairs, like for example this as suggested, name Vinesh, age 30. So now earlier Vinesh is stored in one variable, age is stored in another variable. Okay, but now both are stored in a single variable person, right? Okay, and we can even add other things, like for example city. Okay, Chennai. So likewise we can add multiple values to this, and generally the definition for this is object is something which start with the open brace and close the close brace, and we will be having multiple key and value pairs. So this is key, this is value, this is key, this is value, this is key, this is value. Okay, and these values can be of any primitive data type things, and also we can even have an object as a value, like for example address. So address generally have multiple lines, right? So in address I create another object, I assign another object. Okay, so an object, inside that we have a key called address. In that you can again add an object, and there I can give keys like line 1 and value as address line 1, and I can do the same, like yeah, line 2, and maybe pin code as 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, so you understand, right? And you see you are seeing this red color underline here because there's a syntax error. Why? Because whenever we are actually writing an object, it should be key value pairs, which is right, but we have missed a comma between two key value pairs, so there should be always comma for the last one. Yeah, there's, if you put also it's not a problem, but it is not necessary. But generally for all others you need to separate the key value pairs, okay, with comma, and the key and value itself should be separated with a semicolon. So this is generally an object. Okay, so now let's see the console. Yeah, so earlier it was an empty object, now you can see multiple. We also call this as properties, right? This key value pairs, and this address is a property, age is a property, city is a property, name is a property, like we generally say in oops. In oops we say object and each thing inside is a property, right? So yeah, this is also property. So we have properties like address, age, city, name, and name is having a value Vinesh, which is a string, Chennai, which is a string, 30, which is a number, and address is again another object, and that object is having other properties like line 1, line 2, line pin code, and they are all strings, values are strings. So clear? So an object is a key value pairs, and this key and value is separated by colon. Okay, this colon, and each key value pair is separated by commas. So this is the general syntax for it, and these keys can have anything as a value of it, like any data type. It can be string, number, boolean, null, undefined. Okay, we can even have undefined as a value, test, and we can have undefined as a value of it, and let's see if that works. Yes, so test is undefined, and we can even have one more, testing, and we can assign null to it. Yeah, so now this should also work. Okay, so testing is null. So you understand, right? So key value pairs and these values can be of any data type. Okay, not just object alone. You can even have an array, which we are going to further study. When we learn that, we can also try that out. Okay, but we can have any data type as a value. Okay, so now okay, fine, let's go to array. So again, where friends. Okay, so same as object, array is also to store multiple values together in a variable, but it have its own syntax. Okay, so generally here an array will be having different properties, and we also call it as keys. We have every values labeled with a key. Like for example, Vinesh, it have a label name. 30, it have a label age, which we also call as key or property. Okay, they are all labeled, but an array is not having a real label for it. Okay, but we actually label it with index, like this Vinesh is right now in the 0th index, this is in the 1st index, this is in the 2nd index. There's no explicit keys for it or labels for it. Okay, but we take it like 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and earlier when it is an object, we were actually using curly braces, right? Yeah, empty open curly brace and empty curly brace, we get an empty object. The same way arrays is with square bracket. Okay, when it is when it is open brace, close brace, then it is object. Okay, but when it is open square bracket and close square bracket, it is array. So this is an empty array. So now let's console and quickly check friends. So this is an empty array. Okay, even here we have something like length and some prototype stuff, which we don't want to bother right now. Okay, cool. So now you can add multiple friends of mine here. For example, Ayappan. Okay, Vishal, Vijay. Okay, fine. Okay, so so as you see, we don't have a real index here, but when you actually see it in the console panel, okay, when I open this, you see it with some labels like 0, 1, 2. So we call this as indexes. Okay, so object explicitly it is key value pairs, and it is labeled with these keys like what is what. As you see here, Vinesh is name, undefined is test, Chennai is city. But when you come for arrays, they doesn't really have they doesn't really have a label, but we imaginarily take it as 0, 1, 2, and that's how it works. Cool. So further, now I will also try to retrieve some values from this person object. Like for example, if I need to just get the city as an output, okay, city, I mean Chennai as an output, which means I need to get this property city, then all I can do is two methods are there. Okay, one is with dot syntax. Okay, just dot and the property's name, that's it. So now the output for this should be person.city, which is Chennai. Let's see. Yeah, it is Chennai. And if you wanted to and you can actually chain it, like for example, if you need address line 1, for example, so person, inside that we have address, and again it is an object, inside that there's a property line 1. So what do we do? Person dot address dot line 1. Okay, so now the output should be address line 1. Okay, so now let's see. Yes, so right now we have learned how an object can be created, what is key value pairs, and we also know how to retrieve the properties or keys from that object. Okay, the same way, now if you want to display Vishal, okay, how do you display it? We need to put square bracket here and we have to mention the index 0 1, so 1. So now the output should be Vishal. So in case if you want to display Ayyappan, then the index starts from 0. Okay, so this is 0. So if it is 0, then not 10. When it is 0, then it is Ayyappan. So I mistakenly put 1 here. So what should be the output for this? Guess. Because actually we haven't stored anything into it, right? When nothing is stored into a variable, then what is the actual value for it? We have already learned. It is undefined. So yeah, we are right, it is undefined. So you guys know how to declare a variable and store object into it with key value pairs. You also know how to assign an array, okay, and how to retrieve those values with dot syntax for object and or the square syntax for array. Okay, and one more thing you have to do, you have to know is, like for example, we can use the same bracket syntax also for objects. So you can, instead of putting dot, you can put it in square bracket, and this address should be string, so you need to put quotes, okay, and this like this. Okay, so this will also give you the proper output. So we have two syntaxes to get the properties out of an object. So with dot syntax like this, or with bracket syntax like this. So let's see the output for this. It is line 2, so address line 2 should be the output of this. Yeah, that's right. So object, key value pairs, keys and values, and this values can be any data type. Okay, and we also can do something like this. I can even add friends here, and this friends can have array as a data type. Okay, so we can store an array also as a value, and not just here, even here we can bring an object, for example. Okay, you have all the flexibility. X colon, now what we have, so here we have stored an array into an object. Here we have stored an object into an array. Even this is possible. So friends of 1 will be now this object. Let's see the output. Yeah, we are right. Okay, so how do you just display Vishal? So this is an object right now. So inside that object we are having this X as a key or property. So dot syntax X. So this will give just Vishal as an output, which is right. Also you can use the alternate syntax, which is bracket syntax, and put it as string, which means we need to put it inside quotes, and it can be double quotes or single quotes. Okay, now the output again should be Vishal. Yeah, so now we know to declare variables. We need to assign primitive data types. We also know to assign non-primitive data types like objects and arrays. So did I miss something now? No, I guess. So that's it for this video. We'll then catch up in the next video. Thank you.